Hello, welcome back to Everlasting Summer. Okay, next girl is Miku. I would like to start here where you get all the options to go to all these places. I think this is a good place to start because there are a lot of different places to go here. Looks neat. And I think I can only pick one. I feel like this is a good place. So I'll do it. Where should I go next? I've gone there, there, and there. And then there's this, this, and this. So if I pick one, how about I'll just do boathouse. I decided to go to the pier. Uh, wait, did you read that already? The sun was still gleaming slightly above the horizon, and the river in the distance boasted all the different shades of red, yellow, and orange. The water seemed to be blazing with flames. I kept staring as it got weaker until it completely settled. Alright, that's all that is. Wonder if that counts as reading it? Yeah, it does. Okay. What about the bus stop? The events of the past day kept flashing brightly in my head. That useless checklist, stupid tournament. Right now, I don't want to do a single thing or to talk to anyone. I don't even want to start thinking about my current situation. I came to the square and took a seat on the bench while staring at the Genma statue. I don't know how long I was sitting like this, but finally crickets chirping brought me back to reality. I got up and blindly walked in a random direction. The bus stop. Somehow, for the second day in a row, I find myself at this place. Maybe subconsciously, I feel that the bus will be waiting for me here to take me back to the real world. Very unlikely. On the other hand, why not? It got dark already. I was just standing there and gazing at the night sky. Astronomy has never attracted me so much as astronautics. It always has been more interesting to look at the pictures of far constellations, nebulae, and galaxies made by artists than to try and figure out how to measure angular velocities and masses of stars. But certainly I would be able to find the Great Bear constellation. But if I get lost in snow forests, my only way to find the way out would be that little knowledge about moss growing on the north side of a tree. However, I still don't think that would help me to get out. I was about to head back to the camp when all of a sudden I caught a noise behind the gates. Who's it this time? Ooh. Near the clubhouse, it seemed like somebody was walking down the path to the forest. It was so dark that I could see nothing but a bored shadow. I wondered who could be out so late at night. Pioneer breaching discipline? I followed the mysterious shadow rapidly, but so carefully. I was moving from path to path, and after a while I found myself in the depths of the forest, finally losing sight of the stranger. Maybe I should turn back. The trees parted before me, and a magnificent view of a small forest lake struck my eyes. Whoa! Ooh! And then I noticed Slavia. She was skipping and fluttering about, letting her neckerchief loose and her shirt fly up in the air. This whole scene seemed even more fantastic than my own presence in this camp. Slavia looked like a spirit of the forest, or perhaps a nymph. She looked so natural, more like an ancient goddess than a human being. I remembered all the theological theories, which I read some time ago. This reminded me of pantheism, the idea that God is, in all that is, everything that we see around. What if it were not the aliens or a time warp, but divine providence that brought me here? Indeed, Slavia mentioned that she loves nature. So it turns out that even she is an enigma, isn't she? Ooh, Slavia went into the water. Pretty. I was ashamed, but I just couldn't take my eyes off her. Silver moonlight reflected off her wet skin, making Slavia look like an ancient Greek statue. The Venus de Milo, maybe? This scene was so fabulous that there was no room for carnal, only sublime admiration of true beauty. I was simply admiring the perfection of Slavia's form and forgetting everything else. Maybe this isn't hell, but heaven? A branch treacherously snapped under my foot. Slavia turned around, but there was no way to recognize me in the darkness of the night. Or at least so it seemed. She rapidly rushed out of the lake, put on her clothes in a hurry, and vanished from sight into the forest. I quietly went after her. Slavia was quietly trailing among the trees, choosing the easiest paths and gracefully avoiding trees, pits, and snags. It was a hard job to keep pace with her. Moreover, I definitely didn't want to be caught. Firstly, peeping is just no good. And secondly, in fact, it still remains to be seen what she was doing here. Although it somehow seemed to be innocent enough, it didn't seem to have anything to do with my presence in this world. It was just innocent. It was nothing worth spying on. At last, we came out at the square. Slavia stopped and turned around to face me. "Oh, did you think I didn't notice you?" I was a bit confused, but I put on a mask of visible calmness. "How long ago?" I'm not sure. Slavia came closer. 5 minutes ago, maybe. So, even there at the lake? What lake are you talking about? Well, Slavia seemed to be sincerely surprised, so I simply couldn't figure out whether she was pretending that nothing has happened, or... Well, never mind. I made up my mind to behave like a gentleman, as gentlemanly as was possible in these circumstances, and said nothing. Alright. Unexpectedly easily, she agreed. What a beautiful night. Slavia took a seat on a bench and looked up at the sky. I guess such nights are common here. Well, probably. Why so uncertain? I don't know, I just got lost in thought. Thinking about what? She stared at me like she was looking for something on my face, but then went back to stargazing. Now and then, I fall into such a mood at night. During the day, I'm wrapped up into work with no time to relax, while at night, it's so quiet here. If it wasn't for the crickets and the night birds, one would feel like being face to face with the universe. For some reason, I didn't think of Slavia as someone who talks about such matters. As for me, it's even too quiet here. Is it? Yes, really. Anything wrong with that? Well... Alright. She stood up quickly and fixed her skirt. It's time to go to bed. Good night. I watched her walking away. Our talk might have been about nothing, but seems to me it had some deep and secret meaning, which could appear only here, only next to Slavia. Seems like, even in my situation, such moments of peace and serenity are absolutely necessary. They make me feel united with the universe. I'd even say vital, especially now. Oh, nice song. I'm not sure how much time I spent sitting there, but after a little while, I started to feel sleepy. Okay. I'll see this one now. You know, Olga Dmitrievna asked me to help her tonight. Maybe I shouldn't have lied to her. I should think before I say something. Oh, really? And what exactly you're going to be helping her with? It was turning out bad, but I decided to stand my ground. Her cabin. She asked me to clean it up, sort out the things, and so on. Bet you know what a mess the cabin is. Sure, she asked you to tidy up her closet too. The nurse looked at me so intensely that Napoleon's fiasco at the Battle of Waterloo seemed now a small annoyance compared to my current flop. Dude, I was going to say something, but she continued to speak. Okay then, Pioneer. We'll manage it without you. I apologize, but you see, I said and looked at Lena. She stood looking at the ground like before, blushing more and more. It's alright, I'll manage on my own. Okay then. An awkward silence followed. I went to sink into the ground because of my lame lie that had probably offended Lena. Oh, goodbye then. Bye. The nurse was still smiling spitefully. I turned and walked away, almost running. Though in fact, I really wanted to run. Common sense advised me not to. I came back to my senses when I reached the square. So, what's next? Scene after the dance here. Okay. Slavia left. I probably should not refuse her after everything she did for me, but I wasn't made for such activities. What? The Pioneers kept on dancing. At least they liked the ball. Olga Dmitrievna danced too. I consider that not really appropriate. The leader has to keep order around, especially since she is not 17. Olga Dmitrievna came over to me as if she felt that someone doubted her professionalism. Whoa, how are you not dancing? I don't really want to. Your choice. She smiled cunningly. Then I have a perfect task for you. A task which is... Any other activity seemed better than dancing. You cleaned the canteen well today, but I think you haven't fully atoned yet. Ulyana. What? Come here. Ulyana came over to us reluctantly. I see you've had enough dancing for a long time to come. No, I haven't. She was sweating like a pig, so it seemed that the leader was right. I have a task for you and Semyon. But Olga Dmitrievna, Ulyana begged. It's dance time now, and it's late. It won't take much time. Slavia is sorting the books in the library, but hasn't finished. You have only a couple of shelves to do. But, no buts. For goodness sake, I don't like public work, but dancing. I'm ready. Good job, Semyon. That's my boy, a real pioneer. You should follow this example, Ulyana. Ulyana didn't appreciate such an example, though. So do it. The whole camp is relying on you. I'll remember this, she hissed. The camp in the evening was beautiful. Silence and peace calmed me. Only the distant music from the square reminded that I am not alone here. And Ulyana, who just came back. You could do the cleaning in your dress, though. I grinned. This is all your fault. She breathed heavily and her face was as red as a tomato, so I wouldn't have been surprised if steam started coming out of her ears. It is all your fault. Why me again? If only you'd just been quiet. What would have changed? She'd make us do it anyway. You. She wasn't able to speak normally and just hissed. So what if I kept silent? Do you think she would just wait? What? You keep on having fun? Okay, right. Ulyana looked at me. She seemed to be calmed down a bit. Really, you don't care at all. You can't even dance. So what if I can? If you had danced with me, it would have been fun. She returned to her usual childlike mode. I might have, but you see how the things turned out. We won't have a chance to see who is a better dancer. We approached the library. It was already dark outside. I was slightly surprised by Olga Dmitrievna's request, or more like an order, to sort the books at night. This is so bizarre. There was no light inside and the switch didn't work, unpleasantly clicking with every push. It might have actually worked properly, but the lights weren't turning on. Wait, I'll get the candles. I was just about to ask how she knows where the candles and matches are when two small lights appeared on a table next to me. That's better, Ulyana said, satisfied with herself. What's next? What's what next? She looked at me inquiringly. What will we do next? How should I know? She chuckled. Great. I walked around the bookcases. Olga Dmitrievna said something about a couple of shelves. I touched the books and made sure that there was no dust on them. It looked like someone did a really good job before us. Having examined the whole library, I didn't find anything to claim. The leader must have made a mistake. Suddenly I heard footsteps from behind. Oh. The old cracked floor was squeaking, so Ulyana wasn't able to sneak up on me unnoticed. Boo! I turned around. Oh my god, I'm so scared, please. Oh, whatever. She turned away resentfully. It looks really clean in here, so... The dimly illuminated rows of books looked at me reproachfully. Unknown authors from long-forgotten years. I wonder if anyone still remembers them? Xenia must remember. I'm sure that she remembers everything. Okay, sit down. Ulyana moved the chair over to me. I sat on it. So, what's next? Let's tell scary stories to each other. We have 2 chairs and 2 candles, so there should be 2 stories, one mine and one yours. Okay, I agreed without thinking. I hadn't the slightest intention of going back to the dance, and going by my experience there was nothing to do in the camp at night. Especially as I knew a couple of nice stories which would be able to really scare Ulyana. And that was awesome. You first. Okay. She made herself comfortable, embraced the chairs back with her arms, and moved the candle as close to her face as possible. Once upon a time, in a village far away lived a boy, just a normal boy. He went to school, played with other children. There was nothing special about him. One day he made a bet with his friend that he wasn't scared to go to the abandoned house. Ulyana left a long pause. So, what was in that house? Don't interrupt me. Inventing it on the fly. She pouted her lips and continued. They say a witch have lived in that house and people still see her ghost there in the night. Nobody knew for sure, but everybody was scared. The boy had said that it was all nonsense and he was ready to spend a whole night in there, so he did, but he didn't return in the morning. He was found hanged. Ulyana stopped talking again. Thrilling. Did he hang himself with his shoelaces? I said skeptically. She frowned again. Is that the end? Of course not. They buried the boy the way it was supposed to be, the coffin and stuff. His relatives and friends grieved, but they couldn't bring him back. After a few days, people started to disappear in the village. Nobody knew how or why, they just vanished into thin air. The villagers wanted to call the police, but a friend of that boy who hanged himself in the witch's house told them that he'd seen the boy. Nobody believed him at first, but people kept on disappearing. Then the villagers decided to dig up the coffin. There were long nail scratches on the inside of the lid, but there was no body. Where did he go? Ulyana moved the candle away from her and made a scary face, or at least that which she thought was scary. In the end, all the villagers disappeared, and occasional passers-by near the witch's house tell that they saw 2 ghosts. Ulyana blew out her candle and stopped talking. Ooh. It looks like the story was finished. Wonderful. I applauded. Not quite Pulitzer Prize worthy, but... Are you scared? Frightened? Oh, I'm just shivering all over. Oh, whatever. Tell your story then. I'm sure I won't even flinch. I collected my thoughts and decided to tell a story I had read on the blog of an acquaintance of mine a few months back. He was quite a good storyteller. At least I liked his style, so success was guaranteed. I certainly didn't remember the story word for word, so I told it with my own words. Hmm. There is a faraway space station, the last boundary of humanity, located on the border with a hostile civilization, the third month of the ceasefire. It can't be really called a ceasefire, more like not a war. A small group of survivors is exhausted by a long siege. On one hand, they can't retreat, leaving the outpost. On the other hand, they understand that they won't last even a minute if the enemy attacks. Despair is the best word to describe their situation. The food is running out, there's ammo only for a few shots, which will only seem like green fireworks. There's only plenty of air and water owing to their regeneration systems. People didn't talk to each other for weeks at a time. They may just not see the point of wasting their time on communication while death is at the door. Behind meters, stick station armor to be precise. It is really better just to wait for the rescue or enemy's attack. Both outcomes will lead to the end of this torture. The situation looks like a chess game against an invisible opponent. It's the hardest part, endgame. Any wrong move will lead to defeat, yours or your enemies. Well, does the enemy know about it? They may be afraid of making a wrong move too. Meanwhile, the humans may move their king, but only one square forward and then one square back again. Any other move will automatically lead to defeat. A step forward is an implied threat to attack, and a step backward is a deliberate necessity of defense. The game would be much easier if the opponent was sitting in front of you. Even an experienced chess player can't hide nervous eye movements, the occasional drop of sweat, or shaky hands. On the one hand, everything is futile. Everyone realizes that the situation is hopeless because no one would decide to make a move to escape the imminent defeat. On the other hand, when seeing the opponent in front of you, understanding that he is totally like you and can make a mistake, you can more easily stake everything. The opponent may feel the same difficulties. These are the circumstances of the few men and women on the edge of the universe. There were no orders from headquarters for several days. Though the last orders had contained nothing useful, only the usual demand to keep on defending. One square forward, one square backward, the swinging of an eternal pendulum. At the beginning of the 4th month, the commander decides to retreat. He reasons that the lives of his soldiers are more important than the mythical ideals of humanity. No one will judge him for this. Moreover, they can't change anything. The preparations don't take much time. The greatest asset you can save from a sinking ship is your life. The whole station crew board the rescue vessel. The launch sequence starts. 3, 2, 1, and nothing. The bay doors don't open. They send mechanics to check for malfunctions, but they don't find anything. The doors should open, but they don't open the 2nd time, or the 3rd time. The commander orders his crew to leave the station in rescue pods, but they can't launch either. They explain it as technical malfunctions. The crew tries to communicate with headquarters in vain. After a few days, the executive officer notices that there is nothing on the radars. Nothing at all. No planets, no asteroids, no enemy ships. Just an endless darkness. They run out of food in a month. Everybody thinks that this is the end, but no one dies. Not after a day, a week, not even after a month. As if there is no need for food to sustain human life. At this moment, the majority of the crew goes insane. Some of them just stay in their rooms and pray. Some wander around the station. Some try to commit suicide. Neither point-blank shots with a plasma gun, nor hydro-tank diving, nor even simply slitting the veins brings any results. Days pass by, months, or maybe even years. Nobody keeps a track of time. Insane people recover their minds again, and normal people go insane. It repeats many times. In the end, the crew accepts its condition. They start to make up occupations, theatrical stagings, sports tournaments, readings of self-written books. A lot of family couples appear, and many more break up. It is an infinite flow of time and a closed loop of a human life, and only the darkness on the radar reminds them of the emptiness outside, but there is an emptiness inside the station too. In the end, people stop living. They just lie in their rooms and sleep, not 24/7 at first, but as the time goes by, they learn to fall into a trance. Every person has his own dreams. One returns to his childhood, one gets his lost love back, one defends the ideals of humanity with a blaster in his hands, some others just wander in space. Shabby from skirmishes with the enemy, a rescue vessel docks with the station, the boarding squad gets inside. The whole station looks like a piece of scrap metal which has floated in space for thousands of years. The reactor had shut down a long time ago. There were marks of the laser shots on the walls. The equipment was all smashed. They found decayed skeletons of people who died horribly defending the frontier of humanity in almost every room. And only one cryptic message sent to the headquarters implied that something was wrong. Save us! We just want to die. Oh, I finished the story and looked at Ulyana. Her face was concealed by the darkness. So that's the story. They blew out the light. Ulyana shrieked, rose up, and threw herself towards me. We fell on the floor. What's up with you? Nothing. Her voice sounded very scared. Looks like my story hit the jackpot. I mentally congratulated myself. Ulyana wasn't having fun though. She embraced me, shivered, and sobbed. What's wrong with you, you silly thing? I patted her head. It's just a story. It's not real. You and your stupid stories. Ulyana cuddled up to me more. Were you that scared? Yeah. Frankly, I didn't expect such an honest answer from her. Everything's alright. Time heals all wounds. She'll calm down. Listen, Semyon. What? Never mind, it's nothing. She buried her face in my chest. Minutes passed. Okay, I understand. Maybe we should go. I listened. Ulyana snored quietly. Hey, wake up. Can you even fall asleep from fear? Wake up, I said. No reaction. I tried to stand up. Ulyana certainly didn't weigh more than 40 kilograms, but imagine yourself lying under such a weight. It's really not easy to stand up. You would think that Ulyana was dead if not for her breathing. I certainly could make more effort, but then I'd wake her up and it will all start again. Such an unenviable situation. There is the option to wait until she wakes up by herself, though. She certainly won't sleep all the way until morning after such a story. I looked through the window at the starry sky. I wonder if there really is a distant outpost with a ghost crew. My eyes slowly closed, and in a moment I fell asleep. That was a pretty scary story, though, dude. Where did you even find that? Don't work my dream. It happens sometimes. Your brain is not completely awake yet, but you still feel the sun shining in your eyes, and when you wake up, you blink for some time to get used to the light. It was a wonderful morning. The birds were singing, the air was fresh and fragrant, and the world was bathed in daylight. I'd stay in bed for some time longer, but something was not quite right. All yesterday evening's events flashed through my mind. Scary and not so scary stories. Ulyana, who was cuddling up to me tightly and snoring, not quite like a little girl would. But I didn't worry at all. After all, it's still early. It's surely no later than 7 or 8 o'clock. Who'd want to go to the library that early? I sat back and looked out the window. In a couple of minutes, the sun will hit right in Ulyana's eyes. That's when you're going to wake up. It's interesting. How did she manage to hug me so tightly? Indeed, I couldn't free myself at all. Theoretically, I was ready to spend 1 or 2 more hours lying this way, but suddenly I heard footsteps. Sounds like trouble. Wake up! Do you hear me? Wake up! I started carefully, but insistently shaking Ulyana by her shoulders, trying to loosen her grip, but it was all in vain. Meanwhile, the footsteps were getting closer. I have to save us at any cost. Standing up seems unworkable. That's what I learned already, so I decided to crawl. My move strongly resembled reservist training, which I never attended, a soldier dragging his injured officer while under an artillery attack. The officer is unconscious, the soldier is exhausted, and layers of barbed wire surround them. I barely managed to crouch behind a bookstand and hide Ulyana when the library door opened. Xenia was standing on the doorstep. She seems a bit overcommitted to her work since she is coming in at the crack of dawn. Wait, I heard a familiar voice. Huh? A visitor? So she indeed does have a reason to come here? Why couldn't she come yesterday, or today, but later? Science waits for nobody. Science. It was electronic. Hold on for a sec, I'll find it. She headed towards us. I barely managed to turn Ulyana around so that she was on my back and crawled on all fours to a nearby bookshelf, where I collapsed and tried to catch my breath. What was it? Cybernetic mathematics? Or mathematical cybernetics? It seems she didn't notice us. I'd like something about the electronic bombardment of photovoltaics. Oh, are you crazy? Why would he have something military? That's not military at all. For some reason, they both were silent. Xenia. What? Let's go down to the river tonight. What for? Well, I have a lot of things to do. Come on, get moving. Your robot is waiting for you. Okay. The door slammed the door slamming was like an epitaph of our electronics love struggles. Seems like he is not a cold-blooded robot after all. I chuckled quietly. Anyway, laughter seems a bit inappropriate. We have to escape the library somehow. Waiting until Xenia goes for breakfast seems to be the easiest solution at the moment. She's a communist labor worker after all, not one of electronics' mythical robots. She has to at least eat sometime. Meanwhile, Ulyana wasn't going to wake up. At least she's not snoring anymore. The library was silent. I didn't see Xenia, but was more or less satisfied with the situation. All of a sudden, incomprehensible noises came from her desk. Clicks, cracks, and music started. The Soviet anthem. Just great. It would have been alright if not for Xenia, who started to sing along. United forever in friendship and labor. I could only envy her patriotic feelings. Unfortunately, she had some vocal issues. The Soviet pop scene definitely didn't miss out on a star called Xenia. The anthem ended, and an unfamiliar voice started to talk about the overachievements of a 5-year plan of crop harvesting. It was a radio, obviously. I started listening attentively. Maybe they would say something interesting. But after the list of agriculture achievements, the voice started to disappear and was gone in a few minutes. Signal disturbance, probably. Xenia stood up and headed towards us. The situation's hitting rock bottom. I managed to unclench Ulyana's grip with a titanic struggle. I was free to go, but was so cramped from all this crouching that I didn't have the strength to get up. It's time to prepare for the worst and start thinking of excuses. Suddenly the steps stopped. Seems like Xenia was standing on the other side of the bookshelf. I heard the sounds of books rustling. Probably she's looking for something. She took a book and returned to her desk. The door slammed open. Semyon! Have you seen him? Olga, the domestic was definitely out of breath. Ulyana! No. Xenia answered with surprise. The door was slammed as loudly as the previous time. Seems like everyone is looking for us, and Xenia will start to look around the library. But fortunately, that very moment, the bell sounded in the distance, calling pioneers for breakfast. Xenia, being a punctual person, decided not to linger and left the library in a few minutes. There was only me and Ulyana in the library. Then it was time to decide what to do with her. No longer afraid of being caught, I bent down and shouted in her ear, "Wakey, wakey, eggs and bakey!" She instantly jumped and started to look around. Noticing me, Ulyana's eyes widened. "What are you doing here?" "Playing at spies." "Huh?" "Never mind, did you sleep well?" "Yes." Seems she's not yet completely conscious. "Breakfast?" "Yes." We left the library. At last. Now it was certain that I won't have to explain to anyone the what, how, and why of Ulyana and myself being in there all night long. Sorry for falling asleep like that. It's alright. I guess my words sounded too insincere because she looked at me with disbelief. Wait a minute. What were you doing in there all this time? You wouldn't believe me. Wait a moment. That means... Ulyana giggled, stepped away from me, and shouted loudly. I'm the first for breakfast. Not a big surprise after such a deep sleep, I said, but Ulyana already couldn't hear me being far ahead. It was unusually crowded near the canteen. Of course, there was no other place in the camp that pioneers loved as much as the canteen, but why were they all crowding on the porch? I came closer and tried to find out what's happening. It looked like all... And that's it. Okay. Great. Okay, we're here. Where on earth have you been? I waited for you all night long and have been searching since early morning. Ulyana told me that you left the library together yesterday. I looked at Ulyana. She was grinning acrimoniously. Well, we'll deal with this later. Have you seen Shirk? That's that. Okay. Stalked by Olga Dmitrievna. And you, Semyon, please stay here. Yeah? Would you care to explain where you've been all night? Well, this is a thing I hadn't thought about. True, this couldn't have gone by unnoticed. I could have thought of some clear explanation at least. But I hadn't. Well, me and Ulyana were placing the books on the shelves, but then she locked me there and ran away. I was stuck in there until morning. I was at the library today, and I didn't see you there. I'm kind of aware of that. Well, I left quietly. And why is Ulyana telling me something completely different? What might that be? You know what her stories are like. Yes, you might be right. The camp leader paused for a moment. Just don't think this means I believe you. I didn't think that. Okay, we'll deal with it later. I won't forget. It's more important to find Shirk now. Yeah. Dismissed. Deal with it later, really. Whoa, wait, what's this? I didn't see this the first time. Forest? Ooh. It was obvious that Olga Dmitrievna and her pioneers have already searched every nook and cranny of the camp. Roamed the length and breadth of it, so probably it's not worth looking for Shirk in the canteen or on the beach, or in the cybernetics club. It was a second home, or maybe even his first. Thus it might be worth looking around the surrounding forest. I didn't plan to go far into the forest, otherwise it might be me who they'll be searching for tomorrow. I didn't really visit the countryside often. I just stayed in a country house every summer during my childhood. but that one was very close to the city. But in this camp, it was possible to find everything I hadn't seen for so long: overwhelming vegetation, singing birds, and fresh air. I found a meadow and sat on a stump. How peaceful this place is. But where in the world is Shurek? Actually, he could have been taken against his will. The camp is far from normal, so Pioneer disappearance should not be all that strange. An intriguing possibility. Could it be the work of whichever force sent me here, or is it just some separate local entities doing? Lost in my own thoughts, I didn't notice how the grass before me started moving. I looked closely and saw a squirrel. Okay. I approached me carefully and stared at my hands. That's okay. It's just a squirrel. Probably used to getting fed here. Sorry, friend. I don't have anything with me. Of course, the squirrel could not understand me and continued to just sit there waiting for treats. I felt sorry for it because I didn't even have a crumb of bread in my pocket. Have you eaten a crumb? I realized that I'm even ashamed to look at it in the eyes and decided to move on. After some more wandering, I came to the wash stands. Turns out he is not in the forest either. At least not in the surrounding area. And going farther is just frightening. I walked to the wash stands, took out my shirt, and tried to wipe myself down because I was all sweaty. However, it wasn't so easy. I won't be able to get into the wash bowl, and there isn't even a ladle. Suddenly I heard footsteps from behind. I turned around. Electronic was walking in my direction. Looking for Shirk? Yes. You too? Me too. Listen, you know him better. Where could he have gone? I don't have a clue, he answered sadly. Well, I just don't understand why everyone has made such a fuss. During the night, wasn't he in the cabin with you? Then he can't have been gone for too long. Maybe he went for a walk? You don't know Shirk, said Electronic excitedly. He is fanatically dedicated to his work. His life consists of robotics and cybernetics. People like him are one in a million. No, in a billion. His talent is boundless. I look up to him. He is a man of steel. No, simply triumphant. At that moment, he looked like Hitler making a speech in front of a crowd of thousands. Okay, or some other person. Even his gestures matched, like Martin Luther King. Okay, so what? So what? You don't understand, do you? No. He spends all of it, you see? All of his free time in our club. All. So disappearing just like that is unusual for him? Of course. Seems like Electronic calmed down. Okay. He looked at me intently. Are you going to wash? Not really. Just rinse off a little. It is hot. Me too. He looked around. I wish there was a bucket or a ladle, something to get more water with. Yeah, I noticed already. Then let's do this. He walked behind washstands and pulled on one of the taps. To my surprise, its end turned up, and rather than pouring into the wash bowl, the water splashed up at almost 90 degrees. You can manage to wash yourself that way. Whoa! Meanwhile, Electronic took off his shirt and then squatted so it seemed like he pulled down his shorts. Yeah! I couldn't really tell, because the washstand he was behind concealed him up to his waist. He directed the stream towards himself and started to sing something quietly. Let's clean my chimney sweep. I stood astonished, not knowing what to do. He seemed to notice it. I'll wash myself and then let you use it. Gosh, I got such a massive chill. Well, you know, I just remembered that I have something to do. Gotta go. Out of all the sensories Electronic, the moment I just saw was the weirdest one. Hey, what's up with you? Cold shower on such a hot day is like the best thing ever. No, no, no. That won't do. And anyway, I have to go. I put on my shirt quickly and ran back into the forest. I wonder what's got into him. Crazy. They really react to men not wearing their shirts. I didn't really react to that much when I was around people when we had to take shirts off for like bathing and showers in camp. For men, yeah, we didn't really mind. We just were shirtless and standing around each other. No one really cared. We didn't react like that. Right. Boathouse. That. Yep, I've already done all these. Yeah, that does it all. Yeah. Oh, interesting. So, Miku's the only one you can't go with. Alyssa, Slavyana, Ulyana, and Ulyana. Great. Okay. I'll see what I do if I go with Alyssa. What am I saying? Why would she go with me? Am I going there alone? Olga Dmitri having to look thoughtful. Perhaps you're right. Well, go together tomorrow morning. Something. Forgot her keys. Ooh. Yesterday, what if, for a moment I hesitated, then approached the closet and started picking a key for a lock? Of course, it would be strange to expect a result. Indeed, while outside, I carried a key for Olga Dmitri to his personal chest. But, to my surprise, another key slid into the lock and turned a few times without problem. Suddenly, the door squeaked behind me. I jumped and turned around, but there was nobody in the cabin. Was it the wind? I carefully looked outside, not a single person in sight. Perhaps it was nothing, but I still felt uneasy. I even looked in the bushes by the cabin, but then decided to go back and seek out all the dark secrets of our chief. Semyon, what's taking you so long? Yes. With shaking hands, I turned the key and jerked it out of the lock. Slavia came closer. Ah, my keys. I thought I'd lost them. Where did you find them? They were in the bushes outside. Found them just now. Thank God I managed to close it before she saw. Shall we go? I wanted to get out as fast as possible and preferably forget about my attempts to violate someone's privacy. Oh, so that's what you do with the keys. Okay. Let's go with Miku. On the other hand, I'm not losing anything. However, she dragged me along with her. Okay, I got that. Now I'll say that. We were quiet for some time. Alright. What's this? Slavia went back to the dance floor. I sat a little longer, then cautiously slipped away after making sure nobody noticed me. I totally didn't want to see anyone after such a successful dancing. The most quiet place here is the bus station, which might never be visited by the 410 route again. But I let out a scream. There was a bus right in front of me, just like the one on the first day. I was petrified. Why? At once I remembered all my fears about getting to this camp. I was struck by the realization that during these last few days, I had gotten so used to local life that I started to forget that the things happening here were really not normal. Okay, Miku's kind of hard to start, so I think I'll just start Slavia for a little bit. But I do want to do Miku next still, so. I just stood there and watched the Icarus, then I slapped my hands to my cheeks to be sure that it is not an illusion. The bus was still there. If it is here, then it is time to go home. Sayonara, pioneers! I rushed through the door. Oh, I came to my senses on the ground. My nose hurt. I stood up and tried to understand what's going on. It seemed like I bumped into something. Excuse me. The bus was more than real to the touch. I tried to reach my hand out through the door, but there was some kind of invisible wall. I was overwhelmed by a nearly animalistic fear. Fear of everything, the camp, its inhabitants, and this bus. How did I even get here? What is this Icarus I can't enter? Why is this happening to me? Suddenly a strong, unbalancing wind blew. I turned around and saw a little piece of paper under the wheel of the bus. Something was written on it. Oh, here for a reason. You're here for a reason. Yeah, the bad handwriting seemed familiar. I certainly have seen it somewhere. It dawned upon me. I took a small charcoal from the ground and scribbled the same sentence on the back side. The handwriting was identical. My head cleared. I sent a message to myself from the future. That's it. Or not. From the past. I don't understand anything. In any case, that was my handwriting. It certainly was not hard to forge it, but I was sure that I'd written that message myself. After turning that piece of paper over in my hands, I decided to try entering the bus once more. Hey, there's that. The invisible wall was still there. I circled all around the Icarus, tapped at the wheels, peeked inside through the window. Everything looked absolutely normal, but in reality it wasn't. Heavy stones just bounced off the glass without visible damage. No effect, not even a scratch. I sat down on the curb and sighed weakly. If you think about it, that piece of paper hinted at something. And it seems that the situation won't do me any harm. Semyon! Seems like the leader is looking for me. Interesting. What will she say about the bus now? Would she still insist that it won't be coming for a few days? I jumped up and ran towards the sound of Olga Dmitrievna's voice. So what do you say about that? I blurted out triumphantly and waved my hand towards the road. Say about what? she replied in surprise. I turned around. The bus had disappeared, as suddenly as it appeared. The cry of triumph died in my throat. Oh no, it's time to sleep already. Let's go. But, what? The bus. There was a bus, just a moment ago. The bus couldn't be here, she said calmly. I stared at Olga Dmitrievna's face. She was either skillfully lying or really didn't see anything. Then is it me who might be seeing things? It can't be true. I saw that 410. Quit lying, I said quietly. Semyon, I don't understand. Stop lying to me. There was a bus. It's you. You're keeping me here. Why? I gritted my teeth but tried to speak with a calm voice. You're scaring me. Time to go to bed. I won't get anything from her as usual. Seriously though, I really wanted to sleep. I walked swiftly past the leader, deliberately not paying any attention to her. I couldn't fall asleep for quite some time, and only the crumpled piece of paper with the words, "You're here for a reason," reminded me that the events of these 3 days were real. Okay. I'm gonna start Slavia, but I'm still going to do Miku next. I'm gonna have to look up how to do that. Miku is just hard to start, I can't figure it out. Cracking my head woke me up. My skull felt like somebody was blowing on it from the inside. I rubbed my eyes, saw the ringing alarm clock on the bedside table, knocked it off, and dozed off again. When I woke up, it was already 9:15. Looks like it's time to wake up. I can't miss my breakfast. I got up, scratched myself, and suddenly remembered last evening. There was a piece of paper under the pillow. You were here for a reason. I still don't get it. What does it mean? How did I manage to send a message to myself? Why don't I remember that? More questions than answers. No answers at all, to be precise. I left the cabin and looked over the camp. No, it doesn't look like an illusion. But this memo, it made everything much more complicated. What can I trust? My stomach growled treacherously. Even Agent Mulder didn't conduct investigations hungry. There was an unexpected crowd near the canteen. Of course, there was no other place in the camp that pioneers loved as much as the canteen, but why were they all crowding on the porch? I came closer to understand what was going on. Okay, I'll go with Slavia here now. I didn't want to walk here alone and hope that Slavia would join me, but I couldn't bring myself to ask. Well, it's obvious. One basket for me, one for you two. No, let me go with you. Slavia smiled. Okay. I was a bit surprised, but I was also glad that it turned out like this. Lena seemed to take no offense at all. The reaping has commenced. The strawberries were delicious here indeed. I could probably eat them all if I didn't stop myself in time. Despite being wild-grown, the berries were close to the garden ones in size and had a rich red color, so it was clear that our visit here wasn't in vain. Slavia was walking right beside me as we had only one basket. I felt like a mushroom picker, looking under every shrub and searching through the grass carefully. Pay attention! An entire bunch of strawberries had been left behind. Yeah, I'm sorry. It's fine. You must enjoy being here, don't you? You like nature, after all. Of course I do, Slavia smiled. It reminds me of my home. We have similar beautiful birches there. She gazed dreamily somewhere into the distance. Look, I've always wanted to ask, what do you like in general? You look busy 24/7, and it seems like you have no time to rest at all. She started to think. I don't know, really. Doing a variety of activities is enjoyable for me. Well, that's understandable, but still. I like knitting and sewing. Things like that. Slavia took a handkerchief out of her pocket. There were red, yellow, and green flowers embroidered on it. They were entangled with each other in a complicated way, creating sophisticated geometric forms. Such a typical Russian handmade handkerchief. Glimpsing it, I instantly imagined Slavia dressed in an ancient seraphim, sitting on a bench beside a ramshackle house with a crowd of playing children running around. It's quite cute. Thanks. Let me give it to you as a gift. Such a proposal embarrassed me. You shouldn't. No, take it. I looked at the handkerchief once again and put it into my pocket. Thank you. There were so many strawberries here that after a mere half an hour we had the basket filled up to the brim. It seems we're done. Yes. We've got a lot, so it should surely be enough. When we got back to the boat, Lena wasn't there yet. She'd need more time to fill the basket by herself. Yeah, I guess so. I looked at the river. Sunsparkle was happily dancing across the water surface were the only thing that distinguished it from a mirror. That's how calm the river seemed. What are you thinking about? Nothing really. And you? Me? What will happen once vacation is over? We'll have to leave this camp and go back to our homes. Will I ever see anyone I met here again? Will I ever see you again? She looked at me with her eyes so full of sorrow that I couldn't think of what to say. Lena came out of nowhere, breaking the silence. Oh, you're done already. Here. She showed us a basket full of strawberries. Great. Now we can go back. And I still had Slavia's face and those words of hers on my mind. Sadness and sorrow weren't the kinds of emotions typical of her. Could she be hiding them all the time under a mask of cheerfulness? I had no answer to this question, and I knew I couldn't find one either way. Maybe later. Okay. It's done. I wonder if I can still get her route this way. Or chapter. This is when I'm making the cake. Yep. I think I do have to get that dancing scene to get her true ending. To get her good ending, though. Looks like it. Do nothing. Try to find Slavia. I'm really interested in where Slavia has gone. Though I also wanted to leave this place as fast as possible, and if not, to finally lie down to sleep, then at the very least to spend some time alone, away from all these pioneers and Olga Dmitrievna, who just couldn't wait to occupy me with something again. I picked a good moment and fled into the forest. Night had fallen onto the camp. An absolutely normal and unremarkable night. One of those nights when the dark sky, stars, or crescent moon don't trigger any special emotions, when the crickets chirping and the singing of night birds seem more like an everyday routine than a nocturnal chorus. I wandered around the forest with no special purpose, trying not to get too far from the camp. After all, there was a chance to meet Ulyana out there, and that natural disaster would probably be even worse than the camp leader. I sat down on a fallen tree and started thinking, why is this all happening to me? Why do I keep getting myself into foolish situations every time and everywhere? Even having suddenly appeared in a weird pioneer camp in the middle of nowhere, I don't get to become a subject in an experiment, a victim of a sick cosmic mind, or a participant in an intergalactic war on the side of a group of suicide-prone pacifists like a regular hero of science fiction. No, I get to hide in the night forest from a raving camp leader and our workhorse pioneers. The stars in the sky were shining brightly. Perhaps they give their light not only to me and this camp, but also shine on the city where I was born and where my old home is. It was as if a pain settled in my chest. Oh. I envisioned my old flat clearly, and a detestable burning started making its way from my stomach to my throat. No, it was not wistfulness. More like a sad reminiscence. Because despite all that's happened, I felt more alive in less than 5 days here than I had for the last several years there. Now I really wasn't sure if I wanted to get back. Only one question still ate at me, how and why I ended up here. It flared up yet again in my mind. I haven't spent much time seeking answers, even just thinking about my situation lately. My thoughts were occupied with everyday routine affairs. And now, in order to break away and be able to wish to stay here for good, I need to understand the nature of this place. It's just that even a nightingale in a golden cage has a right to know how and by whose will he got in there. And after that, to make the choice whether to stay or not. Probably I would have been lost in my existential thoughts for a long time, but I heard voices approaching, Olga Dmitrievna and the pioneers. Looks like they're proceeding with their hike. I headed to the camp at a fast pace. I have no desire to go back to the camp leader's cabin because I would surely be scolded, and just waiting for it is much worse. Soon enough I arrived at the beach, and I wasn't alone here. A pioneer uniform is lying on the sand, a girl's one, but no one seems to be swimming in the water. I almost thought that it was some new devilry when suddenly a voice came from behind. Skipping out on the hike? I thought you were still in the woods. I turned around and saw Slavyana in a bikini. Sorry, I guess I interrupted you. That's okay, I'm almost done. Why did you decide to have a swim during the night? Oh, well, is it prohibited? She smiled. Well, no. It's just, won't Olga Dmitrievna mind you leaving early? But you did the same. Slavia gave me a quick glance. Yeah, I did. I sat down on the sand and stared at the river. You didn't like the hike, did you? No, it's not that. I just wanted to be alone for some time. And I've interrupted you. No, not really. That's not like you at all. What are you talking about? Well, to leave like that? Well, I'm not a robot that can only act according to the predefined program. She laughed. Yeah, that's right. I was still puzzled and my fatigue was also becoming stronger and stronger. My mind was absolutely blank. To be precise, it was so heavy and full that not even a single word, so that not even a single idea would have the chance to dwell there. If I would compare my brain at its prime to a broad highway full of speeding thoughts overtaking each other and causing giant chaotic crashes, then now it's nothing but a forgotten tiny path in a distant desolate forest, which is only used in times of absolute necessity. So I said the first thing that crossed my mind. Don't you think it's all pretty strange here? Strange? Everything that happens here. It's the ideal model of a pioneer camp. Of course, it's not like I know a lot about them, but it looks exactly like I imagined it. What are you talking about? Slavia glanced at me perplexedly. Did you ever feel that you're not where you belong? I don't know. More precisely, not where you are meant to be at all. As if thousands of kilometers away from home, or even in another galaxy. I don't understand you. We're similar in this. I lay down on my back and looked at the stars. And what would you think if I told you that I'm an alien from the future? Are you? Asked Slavia in dead earnest. Well, let's assume I am. How should I return to my time? Do you really want to? Yeah, all the conversations with her that have to do with my situation, even the slightest hints of it, always end up at the same place. It's like she's offering me a chance to stay, almost insisting on it. Well, let's say that I'm not sure. There, as we could call it, everything is like home to me, or rather more familiar. Practically everything is known to me and I'm prepared for any situation. And here it's the other way around. Literally every little thing comes as a surprise, and everything's different. Is it really that bad? I wouldn't call it bad. Unfamiliar, unclear. Sometimes it can be hard to change something, especially for people with my personality. But what do you really want? To start with, I can't answer that question until I find out exactly where here is. Then go and find out. If only it was that easy. But what's so difficult about it? Everything's difficult. I don't even know where to start, and I'm constantly being distracted. You're talking about it so seriously, it's almost like it's all real. She laughed. Who knows? A pretty long silence followed. Suddenly, Slavia sneezed. Bless you. Thanks. It wasn't a good idea to swim at night. You could get ill. Hurry to your cabin, it's cold out here. It's nothing. I'd rather sit here with you a bit more. Now, just let me dress. Well, I was certainly flattered, but... Let's go, I'll walk you. But we didn't even walk a dozen steps before Slavia caressed my arm. What's the matter? Oh, I suddenly felt dizzy. I touched her forehead. It was burning. I was never able to measure body temperature by touch, but in this case it was obvious. I told you. Shoo! Come on, come on. No, I could infect Anya. Listen, we better go to the infirmary. And what would you do in the infirmary at night alone? That's nonsense. No, it's not nonsense. If you don't want to help, I'll go by myself. She let go of my hand and was ready to leave. Don't get upset. Put this on, it's cold. I handed her my sweater, which I brought with me on the hike. Finally found some use for a good boy. Thanks. She pulled the sweater on and gave me such a tender and caring look that I just couldn't argue with her anymore. Okay, fine. The infirmary it is, as you say. 5 minutes later, we were standing by the infirmary door and Slavia was picking out the right key. I still considered this idea quite foolish. Nobody ever died from the common cold. At least not in the past century. I couldn't see any good reason to spend the night in the infirmary. Finally, Slavia opened the door and leaned on my arm. I'm still a bit dizzy, she said guiltily. Slavia landed on the bed. I sat on the chair nearby. Still, listen, alone for the whole night in the infirmary. After all, at least Anya could get you a glass of water if you needed one. She wouldn't catch the illness. She's young and strong. It's all right. I don't want to bother anyone, and the nurse will come tomorrow. I suddenly imagined myself in Slavia's place. Imagined that I had to spend the whole night here alone. And shivers ran down my spine. Listen, maybe I can stay with you for a while. I owed a lot to Slavia, and in fact, I didn't even want to leave. What for? Everything will be fine. Thanks for walking me over. You should go and get some sleep. I still think. It's fine. For a moment I thought, Of course, nothing terrible will happen to her here, but I myself would feel more relaxed if I stayed with her. I think... Oh, come on, Slavia cried out as if offended. You won't throw me out, will you? I smiled slyly. Alright, but if you get infected, you only have yourself to blame. I was happy with my little victory. Okay, then what shall we do? There should be some playing cards in the chest. Direct? In fact, I didn't know any other games except that one, poker. Okay. Huh. We spent a lot of time playing. I completely lost the track of time. We chatted, laughed a lot. Slavia didn't seem ill at all. Then midnight came. Time to sleep. Probably. But where are you going to go? She gazed at me. Come on. You shouldn't be sitting in here with me. I can do it anyway. At the moment, I could even fall asleep standing up. Slavia watched me for some time and then drew the curtain and said, Good night. Night. I lowered my head on my arms and fell asleep in an instant. Despite being exhausted, I slept uneasily. It was more of a slumber. My awareness kept leaving me and returning again. The best possible state for dreaming something psychedelic. Bus number 410 drove past the room. It was snowing from the ceiling, and my computer's monitor suddenly rose from the middle of the table. Wallpaper blended through the walls, rubbish piles rose through the floor, and my old bed materialized in the corner. I was in my old flat again. The scenery changed to that of my hometown. It was like I was running through endless hordes of people, bustling in and out. And then darkness fell on me. Primal, universal darkness. I jumped up in terror. I was sweating like a river. Slavia was looking at me worriedly from the bed. Just a bad dream. I attempted to smile. You were screaming. Screaming what? I don't know. It was incomprehensible. The clock only displayed 30. Semyon? Huh? I'm freezing. Slavia was rubbing the arms of her sweater, shivering. Hang on, I'll find a blanket. I searched through one cabinet after another, swearing to myself about how the infirmary had nothing to cover up the patients. I'm sorry, there's nothing here. Wait, I'll run and fetch something. You don't have to. Would you just lie here with me? It'll be much warmer. She was absolutely serious. Her voice sounded so piteous that for a second I was left breathless. Are you sure that it is okay? So it's not? She asked, blushing. No, why? Oh. I slowly took off my shoes and lay on the very edge of the couch, trying to occupy as little space as possible, trying to shrink and stop breathing. Slavia gently embraced me and rested her head on my chest. Yeah, that's better, she purred. I was unable to say anything and just lay there calmly. Very good. Thank you. For what? Slavia kept her eyes closed and seemed ready to fall asleep at any second. For being here. It's fine. 2 minutes ago, she was desperately trying to get rid of me. No, really. Then you're welcome. She said nothing, but I was sure that Slavia smiled. Contact us any time, as they say. You're so kind. You care so much. Well, I try. You're a good friend. Friend? Well, yeah, probably. Somehow this word hit me painfully. On the other hand, there was no reason to believe that I was something more to Slavia than just a friend. What are these thoughts about anyway? You too. I just couldn't bring myself to find the right words. What's up with the you too? It's been a pleasure dealing with you. We hope for further mutually beneficial cooperation. Or, yeah, it's cool being friends with you too. Let's go and play in the sandbox. This was twice as hard to endure with Slavia lying right next to me. I can't run, I can't hide, and even without her looking me in the eyes, I know that she sees right through me. You're distressed by something, aren't you? No, I'm fine. But I can tell that you are. Well, maybe. Want to talk about it? Well, not really. In fact, there's nothing really to talk about. Then you don't really know why you're upset? Yeah, probably. Then why get upset in the first place? Slavia laughed. I guess I shouldn't. That's great. She hugged me even harder. Not cold now? I'm fine. Just tell me if you're not comfortable. No, it's okay. Like that time on the boat? My muscles, as if remembering that rowing competition, reminded me of it with a dull ache. It's totally different. Okay. She said slyly and raised her head a bit. So everything is fine? Yeah, perfect. I started to worry. Slavia surely wanted something from me. Wanted me to do or say something. But what? Are you sure? Yeah, probably. Well then, have a good night. You too. After a while, she fell asleep. I checked the clock out of the corner of my eye. It was only 1 a.m., and that meant that I still had to lie in this position until morning. I wasn't really concerned about my arm going numb. Just being so close to Slavia, in such a dangerous proximity, I couldn't sleep at all. Various thoughts were invading my head. Did she really consider this whole situation normal? Oh. Oh. Just when I was thinking about how bad it would be if anybody found us, the door opened, the light switched on, and Olga Dmitrievna rushed in. My heart jumped and stopped for a moment. Semyon, started the camp leader in a diabolically calm voice. I've been searching for you everywhere, and you escaped the forest ahead of time, didn't come to the cabin to sleep, and now you're seducing our best pioneer. Slavia instantly woke up. She was staring at the camp leader with sleepy eyes for a few seconds, and then instantly understood what's going on and jumped from the bed. Olga Dmitrievna, it's not what you think. I just fell ill and Semyon walked me here. And then I got cold and I told him to go to his cabin. Oh yeah, sure, so you're sick, are you? I am, answered Slavia humbly. Then you have to get treatment. She watched me menacingly. And you, get up and follow me. I understood that arguing was not an option and left the infirmary, not even looking at Slavia. We reached the square without saying a word. Olga Dmitrievna viciously looked over at me and said, Time to go home. I need to have a serious talk with you. I felt awful the whole way. The camp leader silently followed me. I think that once again I've gotten into a stupid situation which will be perceived totally wrong by everybody. Nothing to discuss. What if I were in Olga Dmitrievna's place? Two teenagers cuddling in an empty infirmary at night. It's hard to come up with any apologies. The worst thing is that all these things always happen specifically to me. I always considered myself to have an analytical mind. However, I rarely got to put it into practice. We entered the cabin and the camp leader continued the interrogation. Would you care to explain yourself? She seemed to have calmed down a bit. At least this side of her character was appealing. She was, of course, an impulsive woman, but she also cooled down quickly. Slavia already told you everything. You expect me to believe that? I can't force you to believe it, but I'm not going to invent any excuses either, because it's the truth. She looked at me for some time and then said, Tomorrow I will decide what to do with you. The camp leader turned off the light. I rolled myself in the blanket, not even bothering to undress, and turned to face the wall. Interesting. Why does she only blame me for what happened? I wasn't there alone after all. Slavia is a role model pioneer, of course, but no, I didn't intend to shift the blame to her. I just felt too ashamed for getting into an idiotic situation once again. Involuntarily, with no malicious thoughts, not expecting any trap. I could have lay there pitying myself for a long time, but fatigue overtook me, and I blanked out. Oh, Olga. I just find the way she reacted to that pretty funny. Okay, this is the beginning of Slavia, so that's that. And then next time I'm also gonna do the beginning of Ulyana, and then after that I want to do Miku. But I don't wanna read the routes yet. I wanna do Miku first, and then I'll do Slavia and Ulyanas. Miku's hard. I gotta figure out how to start her. Okay, bye.